Welcome to Coffee with Ronnie. I am so glad you're here. I have a delightful guest today. She is a New York-based fashion illustrator. She works with all kinds of fashion brands and designers and beauty companies, and she does live sketching at events in New York City and around the globe. She also licenses her work on various products, and she teaches at Pratt Institute. And frankly, that's just a few of her jobs. So I'd really love to welcome you, Nina Edwards, my friend, my compatriot when we hang out in New York together. I always have fun. You make me laugh, and she is a bundle of energy. So welcome, Nina, to Coffee with Ronnie.
Hello, Ronnie. Hello, everybody. We can finally have a coffee. I mean, we had the coffee in New York.
Yes, we did.
Right, Blueprint in May.
Right.
So at that time, you promised me that I will be in your guest, and you did. And now I'm here.
And okay. And we are.
And then here's our coffee. Yes, my name is Nina Edwards, and I'm New York-based illustrator. I do a lot of fashion illustration things now, but I'm also just general illustrator. I have done tons of things, and oh, you forgot to mention I'm also a full-time mom with two kids.
Yes.
That's really my first job.
Yeah, that is an amazing. I mean, you do a lot of things, and but you're doing it while balancing school-age children, and I
try.
Probably soon, tomorrow-ish.
Yes, tomorrow is their first day. That's why it's hard to keep them away from my studio. They're still home.
Well, who wouldn't want to hang out with you? Who wouldn't want to hang out with you?
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people fall into that category. They are working on their creative business, but they also have their family obligations are the first thing on the list. And that's just the season that people are in at various times in their life. Sometimes before children, or when your children move on, you can spend way more time on this, but right now that's the season you are in, and you have to honor that. And I know you do. So, Nina, your work is amazing. I mean, you draw so well. And at what point did you fall in love with art and in fashion illustration?
Well, the two parts. I actually, I draw since I was a child. I mean, since I can remember. I am the only art person. My family is kind of normal people. So my father was accountant, so, and two of my sisters study, business. My brother studied MBA. And I kind of tell you, I'm like, at some point I'm like, am I adopted? Just as long as I can remember, when I was like 3 years old, I can just draw. I pick up a chalk and draw everywhere. I even draw on the wall. It's like I just start imagining things. Draw that. But my mom, she's the stay-home mom. Okay, and she never have a job in professional job in her life. But she does she's a tailor. She has her own studio at home. As a part. By the way,
clothing.
Yeah, clothing. Yes.
Okay, right.
By the way, I'm from Taiwan originally. Right. I came here to study in high school. That's another story I will tell you later. So it's funny. I stayed in America a lot longer than I stayed in my home country, and I call myself Taiwanese American because that's who I am, and I can affiliate and associate with two cultures. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, that's me. I feel like I have an American Nina, Taiwanese Nina. So I kind of constantly switch between these two roles. Just as I'm a professional, there's a professional part of me. There's a, like a family part of me. I constantly have to balance between those two roles too. So anyway, back to Taiwan. When I was young, my mom, she just have the ends meet, and she will have her little studio, her sewing machine. And in the 70s, and people in Taiwan still because ready to wear clothing are still expensive. So a lot of people, especially like a middle-aged women, they still order like clothing, you know. And then what you do for New Year is to give each other nice fabric, and then you will take this fabric to a tailor to get custom made. Especially we have our traditional Chinese outfit. We call it qi pao, and we wear that in the very traditional, I mean, very formal events. My mom, it's a very special, it's very difficult to make because the outfit is very like fit to your body. And my mom was like excellent. She is the master of making qi pao. So I think that kind of affect me. It's not art, you know, not artistic. I never saw her draw, but she's very, it's creative. And I think that's a fashion part that came from her, because when I saw her, she was, I mean, she had a template, you know. I saw her, she will buy fashion magazines, she will look through it, and then there are patterns there, you know. And I look at her, I start to draw like a paper doll, you know. I would draw a paper doll, I would start to design illustration like clothing, and then cut it out, and this doll can wear different clothing in different occasions. I think she must be, you know, my fashion illustration was from my mom.
It was sort of, it was born in that studio with you as a little girl sitting there drawing.
Exactly, yes.
I think that is fascinating, and what a beautiful story. What a beautiful story. I love that. I love that. Well, it seems so that fashion illustration is becoming very popular right now. And you are so good. I'm amazed at what you do. So what I love about your work is it's so loose and so expressive, but it does the job of what you're trying to do, which is showcase the clothing. So it's a real art of both of those things. And it is an amazing skill, and you are, I mean, they are beautiful, beautiful drawings. Beautiful drawings.
I study at Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City, and our school is known for fashion design. So people like Michael Kors, you know, Calvin Klein, graduated from my school, and also Antonio. Antonio Lopez. You know, he was like the fashion the god. You know, to me, he was like a god for a fashion illustrator. And then he studied illustration in FIT. That's where I got my bachelor degree. And in the upper division, you have to decide which, like in the Florida division, you do everything. Like you do all the training to be a good illustrator. And the upper division, you can choose like which special area you want to go to. So some people decide to do like a children's book illustration or animation. And I study fashion illustration. So I have been trained to be a fashion illustrator, and that was in the 90s. You know, I'm a little bit older anyway, and there are a lot of people out there. But anyway, in the 90s, and unfortunately in the 90s, because the computer, you know, it just kind of, you know, starting out, a lot of digital arts become very popular. So the digital photography kind of replace illustrations. So unfortunately, like I think I was like the second to last fashion illustration class in illustration department, because then after that they kind of combined illustration class into fashion design department.
Oh, how
so
interesting.
But I think it's coming back now. Because it's like so much cheaper. Just use digital photographs. So my first job after graduating from FIT, I work for a fashion like accessory companies. They don't do clothing. They do like handbags, you know, belt, hats. So there's no full-time illustration job. You know, I mean, unfortunately. So even though my major was illustration, but I worked in the advertising department. So I pretty much, you know, I did like presentations, like when a designer has a new collection, before they, you know, they might just make 1 or 2 samples. but they have to show the potential buyers their collections. So that was my job. I did everything, in hand, and how the collection might look like, and with different colorways, with different swatches, different fabric that are attached to the presentation boards. At that time, I used a lot of markers. That was very popular. Markers. I think they are now, because digital art, a lot of people just use Photoshop. But at that time, markers are the main media people use for presentation boards. I was also brought to fashion shows to do a lot of live sketches, because at that time digital camera just came out. So how those old how do you say Polaroid? That's yes, and they are expensive. They took time to develop. So I will go with the buyers and go to the fashion show, and I will sketch
Just
live
so they could get a
very quickly.
because
Yes, and then show them.
Really fast.
Yeah, they keep
Right.
on walking, the models walking. So I have to sketch very quickly and kind of show what the collection, the silhouette, the shape of this collection, and brought all these sketch back to the design studios and share with my team. So that's how I, learn how to sketch live very quickly.
Right. Well, first of all, that's a lot of pressure.
Very, yes.
And also
yes.
the idea that whenever anything that we do a lot of, we get good at. And that's the thing. It's like, well, how do I get good at drawing? Well, you draw. How do you get good at writing?
There's no shortcut.
So there is no shortcut to that. And so that, training your hand, and that's what I said, when I see you on social media or on, seeing you draw, you're so fast and you have such control of your medium. And that is through, well, you have a really good eye, for one thing, which is another, we can hone that skill of how to see, but that using your hand and knowing what mark you're going to make only happens because you're making marks.
Yes. And
that's the only way.
And also I'm a teacher, I do a lot of demo, constantly. So, but it's so different when you're doing demo. Like, I'm so fortunate that I live in Manhattan. I teach at Pratt, right? So we have like a fashion exhibition at Metropolitan Museum of Art, museum at FIT, Brooklyn Museum, right? So I have a lot of field trip, bring students to see those exhibitions, like camp, the big one in Metropolitan Museum of Art. And next week is last week. So I will bring my students go there to sketch. I think it's very important. You have to learn how to sketch live. I mean, for the beginners, it's good to do like with, like a mannequin when they don't move, and then I have to also, like you said, you have to have a good eyes. When you see a costume or clothing, right? Your eyes eliminate, you have to think about elimination, because always for the beginner or most people would try to get, you try to get all the details. A lot of people start drawing the eyes, and, you won't have such a limited time. What you should train your eyes is like, what is not important. You have to think, eliminate, only keep the ones that's important. Because for the life drawing class, right, when I study at FIT, we have to do that every day. It's like warm up. If you're ballerina, you have to do your warm up exercise. That's we have a model, keep on moving. You have a 30-second gesture drawing, 30 second, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, increasing the time. But then you have to think, what can you do in 20 seconds and still capture that gestures, that art, that piece of clothing. So that's kind of training you have to do. And then train your eyes to eliminate what is not important.
Oh, that is everything right there.
For Fashion Illustrator, especially. Yes.
I remember in art school when we did life drawing, that, those gesture drawings, like you said, it's a warm up. It's like,
Yes.
or you do an athletic, anything, you warm up, but it also helps you to sort of get over yourself. That everything isn't so precious, that you do more and more and more, and you kind of just move on from that. Everything has to be perfect.
Yes.
And I truly believe that life drawing, if you can draw the figure, and I know you still go and, do life drawing, well, not classes.
Yes, I still do. Yes. Yes.
And I know a lot of artists, particularly in Manhattan, which is so great that they can just go to these evenings of life drawing, is that if you can draw the figure, you can draw everything.
Yeah, especially for Fashion Illustrator. But don't take me wrong, but there are different styles for fashion illustrations, not just watercolor. There are different styles in fashion illustration, and I just choose to do watercolor illustration, watercolor, as my media. But some fashion illustrator, they use oil painting, do very detailed, faces and clothing too, very detailed design and illustration. That's even me, I do illustration, fashion illustration. I also do use digital, Photoshop to do my fashion illustration for different clients. So what I mentioned about you have to do it fast is because only when you sketch at the live drawing, like you have people, like that's what I do in New York Fashion Week. I do kind of basically 2 jobs for me to do when I go to New York Fashion Week. I was invited by the organizer, of they call Style Fashion Week. It's by different producer, okay, during New York Fashion Week, and they gave me a table there and next to the entrance. So all the VIP guests, designers, model, they walked in and they will have me sketch them. I only have, their line, waiting for me to sketch. And this place is very loud. It's like going to a very dark, it's like going to a nightclub and try to draw people. Like I will be staying there whole day, try to sketch people. So I only have about 10 minutes per person max. And you have to catch the lightness of that person. And I use watercolor. So that's why I have to be fast. Okay, so that's that. And another role I do is I will be invited by the designer brand, what was that? And then I will be sitting in the VIP, the first 2 row, and I just watch the model, kind of enjoy myself, and sitting right next to a fashion blogger or fashion editor. And I will take a lot of pictures. And when I return to my studio, I can draw, but in my studio, in a controlled environment, and then I can take my time. I can do more details. So that's the second, role of me as an illustrator to perform. And also when I say that, doesn't matter what media you use, and even though you do a lot of details, you still have to learn how to eliminate a lot and need details. For example, as a fashion illustrator, you definitely have to focus on the clothing, right? Accessories. So so the face, all the like detail and all that, or the wrinkle under your clothes, you have to eliminate because you don't want to make it real. If you want to make it real, why not just use the photography, like a photograph?
Right.
You want to take all the details and then you make it better. Like a hair has to be bigger, the people are longer, just like it's artistic license.
Right.
That's your interpretation of what you see and still represent this brand. So that's very crucial.
And determining the essence of what that's about.
Yes.
The attitude, the essence of what that designer had in mind and what that experience is for someone who wasn't there.
Right. And also that's another challenge a fashion illustrator has to encounter is that, okay, I'm also an illustrator. I do like editorial works, for magazine and book covers. And then as an illustrator, it's very important to have your unique brand, right? People look at your art, oh, they can tell right away, oh, that's Nina Edwards. You have to have the brand. But when you do illustration for example, I was invited to see Jason Wu's, he's a very big name fashion illustrator, and he was from Taiwan originally. So when I got to see fashion show for Jason Wu, do illustration for him, I not only keep my own identity, my style, my identity, my drawing style. The most important is I have to capture his brand, right? Like the brand, and then use my way to execute it. So I have to, his brand is more important than mine. So when people look at the art, they can, oh, it's more important they can recognize that's from Jason Wu, So it's kind of the balance. If I work for Jason Wu's collection would be different, when I execute it would be a little bit different than I draw illustration for Kate Spade, because Kate Spade also have her unique silhouette, her shapes. So I have to capture that kind of New York, modern urban life. It's different. So it's kind of, things that you, as a fashion illustrator, you really have to capture. Yeah.
Great.
So it's advertising, it's not just for you anymore. It's them. Yeah.
Does anything scare you?
No.
Yeah.
People was like, yeah. You know what? I used to do illustration for Cosmopolitan, a while ago. And I love their motto, 3 Fs, right? Fun, fearless, female. 3 Fs.
Right.
I try to live like that.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
Nothing scared me.
That. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that is fantastic. Fantastic. So here I have a very practical question for you, especially as a teacher. So can you make, obviously you have these two things that you do, the live drawing as well as drawing for various designers and clients.
Yes.
Can people make money doing this?
No, you are invited to New York Fashion Week. You are just, it's an honor. Okay. You are not like, first of all, it's not like, I'm talking about the official New York Fashion Week.
Right.
It's honor, you are invited. You have to be in the industry. And also I was invited to Met Gala, Metropolitan Museum of Art. Every time when they have a fashion, Met Gala, it's like a
here comes Beyonce
for fashion.
Right.
Exactly, Beyonce with all the Lady Gaga, the fashion.
Right.
So I was invited. It's like people are like, what? How can you get it? Well, connection. Anyway, I'm shy, as you can tell.
Well,
anyway, I was
be good at what you do.
Yes.
What you do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so I do that, and I'm sorry. Your question? Your question again.
Okay. I guess my question is really, if a person wanted to be a fashion illustrator,
make money,
so yeah, how else could they make money, especially when they're starting out?
You can't. Like I said, to be invited. Well, I'm sorry. Okay, very encouraging. No, okay.
Kidding, but so a young fashion illustrator student that says, I want to be a fashion illustrator, what would you tell her? What would you tell her? Okay.
You don't get paid for do work like that, but it's for exposure, right? When I go there, I do sketches for those designer. You go there to network, because then you network to the next client that could be turned into a real paid job, right? And I went to Met Gala. I did illustration for Gucci, new collections, because it was sponsored by Gucci this weekend. I network. I even met Alessandro Michel. He's like the creative director for Gucci. It's like you go there to network. And I have a fashion stylist, a makeup artist. They do whole week makeup at New York Fashion Week. They don't get paid either. But you go there to network. Yes. Right. And models too. Maybe they do a little bit, maybe the brand, because you are hired by the producer, the production company. Okay. And anyway, But I don't do that often, only twice a year,
Sure.
right? September, which is coming this Thursday, and then February, I go to network. What I do, that's why I have my job. That's why I'm a teacher. That's why I'm an adjunct professor. That's my income, okay? And I teach fashion illustration. I teach licensing classes at Pratt. And just kind of back a little bit, I did a lot of licensing when I, in the industry. And actually, that's how we met. We met at the Surtex, networking event. So I did licensing for like Target, and Madison Park Greetings. I also did a lot of editorial illustrations. So what I don't do so much magazine illustration anymore because the turnaround time is too quick. Like I say, I have 2 kids. One is going to 11th grade. I mean, you think he is older now. Yeah, can you believe it? He was just a baby. I know. And then now it's time to apply for college. And then I have like 10 years old. It's like being a mother is when you think, okay, now I can relax. No, there's always something. So that's why I cannot have a full-time job. I was, after FIT, the advertise, I was telling you about a fashion design company. I stayed there for 3 years. And then I moved to Los Angeles to get my master's degree because also in illustration major, because I always wanted to be a professor. So that's just something I wanted to do. So that was like 20 years ago. And I got my degree way before a lot of people. So I got my MFA and I met my husband there. I got married in San Francisco and just starting out a new career. San Francisco is not like New York. There are not that many like a design, fashion or agency there. So I because I study illustration in my master's degree, but also minor in graphic design. At that time, I know the importance of knowing all the program, computer program. So I master all, in design, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop. So, so I got myself a job working for an advertising company, as a graphic designer. So I did a lot of like direct mail for Starbucks or even packaging design. So for 7 years, I was graphic designer. I didn't do much illustration, no illustrations. I just focused on my career. And then, because, starting out, I want to save money. We want to have a family. And then my husband got a job in Columbia University in New York, and then we moved back. That was my turning point. I said, okay, I have enough. I just find it very difficult to be a full-time person. I mean, it's good, you got a job, you have an income. So the point is to keep a job. It's hard to start as a fashion illustrator. Nobody I know, if no matter how, unless you are like David Dalton, like you're like, he is in the industry for 40 years and he know all the celebrities. I would still say you keep your daytime job and just think of freelance, just like any kind of, like licensing too, or any kind of illustration. In the beginning, you definitely keep it as a, freelance job, and then keep your daytime job, but then you will make money because right now I have a company contact me, like interior design studio, and then he want to work with me. Like he designed a lot of very high-end hotels and coffee shop. The owner, he wants me to use my illustration for their wall, like a fashion walls, or he's also his hotels. Also, he like to like design the whole like a furniture, home decoration, table set, some kind for the coffee shop. Then he like to use my art, to do that, because like you say, fashion illustration is back. So a lot of chic, very chic, hotel, they will use some kind of fashion elements. Especially I use watercolor, hand-drawn style illustration is also back. I think people are sick of digital art, right? Yeah. So that's why, even though I haven't done watercolor for a long time, like I said, because I was a graphic designer, I did everything digitally. So, but all those trainings also helped me tremendously because I have to go press check. I have to work with printer. So I know like the other, that side of printing. So when I do my fashion, watercolor illustration, I know what kind of color will work better, how to do that. And also as a designer, I understand, the whole logistic, the whole business part of it. So yeah, I would just say
that is so. I mean, I think that the if you wrap that up, I mean, with a young person that wants to be an illustrator, the lesson is you have to figure out how to either get a job in the industry.
Yes.
You're just going to work really hard.
Yes.
Then eventually you will piece together the other parts that will build sort of the big world of you being a fashion illustrator. Coming straight out of school, I mean, you're probably going to get a job at a fashion house or, like you said, like with an accessories company. But there is, I mean, I think it's really important to have all of those different experiences. Like you said,
yes,
graphic design, you understand
yes,
what it's like to be on the end of a press.
Yes.
I did that too early on. And it opens your eyes to all of the parts of the business instead of just you being like, well, I'm the illustrator. But when you understand everyone's roles and everyone's challenges,
yes,
you bring more to the table in the big picture.
Yes.
So
yes.
I think that's wonderful.
And also, I also think myself not as just an artist. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business person. That's how I identify myself too, right? And then, I mean, I'm in the industry for over 20 years now. I'm still standing, I mean, even though I'm teacher, but be honest with you, it's so competitive now. I mean, and also I'm an adjunct professor because at prep, I would say over 50% of professors, they are adjunct. That means they practice in industry. Right. So that's good because we can bring the newest, most trendy information to the school. And I bring my students to like fashion shows. We do things, I use my connection. I bring my network, my connection to my class. Like I will have my fashion designer friend to come to my class as a guest speaker and talk about the fashion industry. So I think that I don't know, maybe just me, because like I said, I'm in the industry for over 20 years and I study art. I've been an artist all my life. So it's not just about drawing beautiful art anymore. After a while, what keep you going, right? Because especially with the social media, I must say, it's a plus and also minus, pros and cons. Yeah. Like before social media, I was like, I feel good about myself. It's like, you're good. But now it's like, when you feel you're good about yourself, suddenly you look on like, oh my God, so many people out there. It's like, I know. Very scary.
I know.
You feel like you're never good enough. You know what I mean? But
it can be so difficult, and
it's so difficult.
Yeah, it is really hard.
Yeah, but my point here is that it's not just about drawing beautiful pictures anymore. I think you have to have a purpose and higher mission in your career and for your life too. Okay, for me, I mean, I'm still learning. I feel like I'm always there's always something new. How can I do it quicker, more efficient? What about maybe I'll try oil painting next time for my instead of watercolor. You'll get sick of it. You want to do something differently. But my purpose for my career is be influential because I learned so much. I want to help. I want to be important. Like I want to contribute. That's my higher mission. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm a Taiwanese American. So I've been through two cultures. So because Taiwan, because I've been teaching in Taiwan every summer for 10 years now. I teach in universities, I teach in institutes, I teach in governor organizations. And in Manhattan, Fifth Avenue, we have our consulate. In that department is called Taipei Culture Center. So I am their consultant. Like I want people to know my culture, to know I bring a lot of talented artists to New York. I curate shows, fashion shows, illustration, exhibitions, art. We have a galleries, beautiful space. And then I feature Taiwanese artists. I want people in the world to know. I bring them to America. I also curate a show in Jarvis Center, like Comics Come, right?
Right.
I help to brought like the top animators and comic artists to America to let people know, how we have a lot of talented artists too. And I teach not just here, but also in Taiwan. I want to be influential. I look at those students, I feel like I wish I have known these information when I was just starting out.
Right.
And also I think because the environment in Taiwan, because the politics is not steady. So, and also the market is very slow. A lot of artists, they are so talented, art students, young designers, illustrators, they never traveled overseas. A lot of them, they don't know their future. I think they are hungry for role models. So that's why I try so hard. I mean, I brought a lot of information back to them. I share with them. I teach, like copyrights, all that. I hope, I want to live. Like, I want to prove to them, yes, there's a hope. Like they look up to me because I'm still standing here. I go to New York Fashion Week. I do this and that. So I give them, like, I feel like I'm kind of, I'm a pioneer. I start I'm from Taiwan. I came here. I only know alphabet, in my teens.
Right.
I started from zero and I learned my English. I could do all the culture thing. I do study very hard and I got scholarship, full scholarship to study in Italy for whole semester. And all these things, I feel like I'm pioneer. I want to pave a road and to show my fellow artists in Taiwan, to show them, yes, don't give up.
Right.
Yes, your dream can come true as long as you work hard, as long as you are top of the crop, you hone your skills. You're the best, but there are always someone better. But anyway, you're competing with yourself. As long as you're getting better, because you are the original person. Nobody can, the only person can overcome is you. So I keep on challenging myself. I get better and better, right? And you have to learn how to network, how to be at the right place at the right time. And once you have the opportunity, put yourself in a stage, you shine and you really do your best. So that's why 3 years ago, like I told you, I haven't done fashion illustration live for like over 10 years. I have been doing a lot of licensing art, digital. I didn't do it like suddenly. I was invited to do New York Fashion Week live. Believe me, I was like, I was like, oh my God. I was like, and people, I was like, oh my God, you have no idea how scary I was. I was in the show for 3 days in the dark room, and then people came on, I have to do it quick. My God, I was like, but you know what? I promised, guys, I know you, I just promise, I kind of convinced myself, yes, Nina, you can do it. You've done it before, you can do it again.
Right.
So I keep convincing myself. I look like very calm. Actually, I was very nervous. I say yes to opportunities. I do my best. And after 3 days, in the first, couple hours, I was shaking so intense to draw. But by the end, by the third day, I can chat with my models because I loosen up. I just know that, they don't expect that much. They walk in, they want a free drawing. You just do it quickly, If they like it more, that's another thing. They like my art. I told them, okay, don't expect like, this is different. This is like, it's like you go to Costco, they give you free sample, like a little bite.
Like,
this is that little taster. If you like it, they will ask me, oh, you did a great job. How much you charge for a fashion portrait? That's how I got my real clients. And it's like someone said, he's getting married next month. He want me to draw a picture of his fiance. So this is how I got job because of the New York Fashion Week.
Well, and I think that is the lesson there is that if you show up in whatever community that you want to be in, if you show up and then take small steps all in the same direction, that will happen.
Yes.
I really like what you said about having a bigger purpose. And sometimes the
Yes.
purpose is, I want to provide for my family. And these are
Yes.
the best talents
That's
that I
fine.
have to provide
Yes.
for my family. And sometimes
Yes.
it is and our purpose changes over the period of our
Mm-hmm.
life. There was a time when my only purpose was keeping a roof over my head. And now I have a bigger purpose of helping people understand how to
Right.
sustain their business and how to stay enthusiastic and not go down the spiral that we all tend to go down occasionally. All right, now, Nina, I just want to tell you, it has come to the time in Coffee with Ronnie where I ask you 3 caffeinated questions. Are you ready for these?
Okay. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm always ready.
And then I want to talk to you about your super cool project that's going on. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Nina, what is your favorite movie?
Oh, I know it's Phantom of Opera. I mean, I know it's a Broadway show, but
Right.
it's also a movie. Oh my God, I watch like over and over again. I love the music until my kids are so sick of it. But I love it.
Okay.
Because I love the costume, the fashion.
Oh, the costume, the fashion, the singing. I mean, what's not to love? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Oh my God, definitely night owl. Definitely night owl. I only wake up because I have to take my daughter to school. That's the only reason I wake up early.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me. If I were to pick one, I'd go, oh, Nina is a night owl. Okay,
Yes.
now, you're not allowed to be an artist again. Okay, you can't do anything that you're doing now. What would you do if you couldn't be an artist or a teacher? What would you do?
I would be a translator, which is I am already.
Yeah,
I'm very fluent in Taiwanese, of course, or Chinese. I even wrote a book, and because I don't understand English. I mean the American culture and Taiwanese Asian culture well. I would be a translator. I already did. I translate a lot of fashion magazine. Articles.
Right.
In Taiwan already. Well, and also I also help, the Taipei Culture Center. I help them to the PR department. I wrote article like they are advertising their burp, whatever for the event. So I would be a translator, and also tourist if I could. I love travel. That's another thing.
Like a tour guide.
Yes, because that's what I actually doing here too. Because
I know you do.
I do it by side because I'm a minor in art history. When I was in FIT, and that's why when I studied in Florence, Italy, in illustration department, I also took a lot of Renaissance art history. So I love Europe. I love cultures. So when I work with a few agency here, like run by Chinese, business owner. So they will have their customer come here. Sometimes some of them, they want a small group of people. They want to have like a more personal, more deep, understanding of art. I would take them to Museum of Modern Art and Metropolitan Museum of Art, or even take them to Chelsea, see the Chelsea Gallery. And also another tour is very popular is the parents bring their high school kids, like school kids.
Sure.
And then they tour, like Columbia University. They want to understand the admission admission process because I'm a professor. My husband's a professor. So and I have the 2 kids. I understand the education system. So that's what I do but for me, because I love people, I love networking. That's another networking. And some of them, they are very well established. They are businessmen. They are owner, small business owner. And I end up having a network. I network with them. I network everywhere.
Right. Yes. Yes. I think that there will never ever be a day that you do not have a method of making money.
Oh yeah, but for me it's like making friends.
Right.
For me, because if you come and think, okay, how can I get out this person? Actually, people are not stupid. They tell how sincere. So that's why I love teaching. And I just, even if I'm a teacher, I don't have to teach, anything to do with art. Even any subjects, I just love teaching, sharing. Like I say, making contact to people. I just feel like whatever, if I can say something, do something, I can influence someone. I feel like I'm doing something good for the society and for the community. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So tell us about your book. I saw when we were in New York. I couldn't read any of it, but it is an amazing book.
Yes. This is my second book. It's published in Taiwan, my second book. And this is this one. Can you see?
To reality.
Yeah. From fantasy to reality. How to make your creative dreams come true in life. So originally, I'll just flip through it. There are some like my illustrations here, but then originally they were thinking something like this. You know, like here's my illustration. So it's going to be like mostly talking about fashion industry and art industry and licensing, branding, that kind of thing. So this is I did this originally. I was hoping this digital art to be a cover, but then they decided to use the watercolor because the watercolor is much well received in Asian culture. Oh, that's another thing. You know, you have to know culture because illustration is advertising. It's a way. It's a advertising. So every industry is. Every market is different. So anyway, so that's why I do a lot of watercolor over there too. So this is great because they would just they say, okay, give me like 350K Chinese character, and then it's going to be 150 page, all full color. I know for artists, a lot of artists, they don't know what to write. They don't write well. And then just give us 30K will do. Ideally, we hope 50K character. Give us 30K minimum. We can fill out the rest, you know, with your illustrations. So 150 pages, and they gave me like 6 months to work. But guess what? I finished all the text in 3 months and 80K. They're like, oh my God. And then also, you're the first artist actually hanging everything on time, because they were like, oh my God, where is the text? Where's the, I'm unfortunately.
I know, I'm in the middle of working on a book right now.
Yes, it's like, because I did like chapters, we talk about details. That's the business part of me. I'm very organized. You know, it took us a long time to talk about outline, how the books, what chapter, what you should write. I think that's very important. I work well under guidance.
The outline
from the beginning.
You know where you're going.
Every chapter, all that. So because I have a very clear guideline, so I can deliver. So I try to force myself. I have to write at least 20,000 characters every day. Doesn't matter how busy that day is, how busy, with the kids, they have they have picnic, they have field day, they have soccer practice. I do that's another thing. Being a mother, I learned how to manage my time.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It's so limited. You don't have the time all to yourself. And then I use my cell phone and iPad very effectively, because all the character, majority of them I wrote, I use my iPhone to write the character, because there's there's a handwriting recognition program app. I did it when my daughter is practice, ballet for 45 minutes. I sit there, I watch her, and I was writing. I constantly working. When I waiting for the subway, the 10 minutes, I start to I talk, to the phone, and then they will type. It's a voice recognition. So I constantly use this time. And when I go back to home after put all my kids to sleep at night at 12 o'clock, that's why I'm at night, or even after I finish everything after 10. Sorry, and then I start to put everything I wrote during the day. I transfer a copy to a Word and start to, really, really focus on writing. So that's what I do every day.
Right.
And in the meantime, and during Christmas, I went to Sweden, with my husband. He had a conference there. I was writing. I like in a coffee shop. I did my sightseeing. Like I said, I love travel in Europe. And then when I have a coffee break, I was writing my textbook. So that this is the result of it.
Right.
So
that is wonderful.
now
Do you think it will be published in English?
I hope so. I to try to find the publishers here. That's the next thing.
Right.
But I think all the information will be very helpful, not just for Asian, custom readers, because also in Taiwan, Taiwan, New York too, because I interview a few American and British designers, like textile designers,
Right.
So all the information is very current.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, Nina, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Love seeing you. We should just do this for fun because we always.
It is fun.
Yes. And I thank you so much. I know if any of you have any questions for Nina or me, we are happy to answer them in the comments. And we will link everywhere to get a hold of us. Mm-hmm. Really, there's no reason you can't get a hold of us. And if you are here on YouTube, that means you can subscribe to this channel. And I would so appreciate you doing so. So again, from the bottom of my heart, Nina, thank you so much for being here. And
thank you, Ronnie, for having me.
Cheers, darling.
Cheers.
Clink.
Click.
Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.